What's going on, everybody? How y'all feel, man? It's Tuesday night once again. It's Tuesday night. Listen, it's the first Tuesday night of the year, man. I know y'all should be happy. I'm happy. I'm excited. It's 2022, man. We made it. We're on the other side. 2021 was crazy. I know a lot of y'all out there feel the same way. 2021 was a heck of a year. So now as we're going into 2022, you know what I mean? It's a lot to be expected. And of course, when you starting off the year, it's a fresh start, new chapter. So got a new chapter, man. And tonight, we're gonna chop it up on another specific issue plaguing our community, plaguing our folks, man, both men and women. And so I really want to talk about as a man, some of the things that as men we deal with when it comes to relationships and the struggles that comes with dating today. Now, of course, let me get this started real quick, and we're gonna get right on into it, right? Because I'm not even gonna hold y'all tonight. I'm gonna say my piece and get on up out your way. All right. So for everybody that doesn't know, man, my name is Clarence Brown. This is the Male Translations Podcast. This is what we break down the difference of what men say and women hear, give men a voice, give women insight on relationships. We are the men's voice when it comes to relationships. So again, tonight, man, for some, this is another very click-offable subject. All right. Now um, we're talking about how long will women fight for their dating list. All right. So, for some women, when hearing these topics, of course, it's like, click, you know what I mean? Back to entertainment, back to something that engages in more of a different side of yourself. But tonight, I just want to, like I say, spit my piece and get on up out your way. All right. So how long will women fight for their dating list? Right. So, as we going into 2022, you know what I mean? What we've seen in these past, I say 2 to 3 years since, this whole pandemic started and things like that, is that there's been a shift in the way people think about relationships, the way people talk about relationships, the expectations people have in relationships. It was just a few weeks back, I was at a gathering, and a family member came across me and said, bro, man, listen, you need to put me on the show. It's a lot different now from when you were dating. When me being a married man, there's a lot of things that I may not be privy to, right? So he's telling me, hey man, listen, the dating scene, women and their mindsets, expectations is totally different than what you was dealing with or what you may be accustomed to, right? And so I had to take a step back and say, I could definitely understand that. Now, with that being said, the problem I have as a married man is my goal with this whole platform is to create some type of conversation for us to come together and unify, where there's so many things that separate us, not too many things bringing us together. So through these conversations, through as a man speaking on behalf of man, trying to give the insight on what men are thinking and what's behind a man's mind when he does certain actions, hopefully, ladies, y'all will understand where I'm coming from, and this can open up the conversation between you and maybe somebody else that you got a relationship with, or just make you look within inside yourself. So when I ask, will women fight for their dating list? How long will they fight? That's not to say that the things that you have written off as standards or expectations or things that you would say, hey, listen, I'm not going without, or I have a zero tolerance policy for this. This is within my list. Okay, there's nothing wrong to say that you shouldn't have that, right? Of course, everybody wants to have some set of expectations for anything they involve themselves in. But at the same time, what fails to happen is there fails to be somewhat of a compromise on the things that you state in your dating list, or your standard operating procedures. Look, I don't need no lying, I don't want no cheating, I don't want somebody that's going to be beating on my kids, or touching them, molesting them, things of that nature. Things that you would say, okay, that's one thing. Also, hey, listen, I need someone that's going to be responsible, that's going to be a provider, that's going to, right? So you setting all of these expectations, and while all of those things will help you to weed out some of the things you don't want, sometimes that also weeds out the things that you do want. So when it comes to certain men that you may say, hey, listen, I want a guy that has these qualities or represents himself in this type of way. Well, oftentimes what you don't recognize is that his list is just as apparent as yours. So when you saying, hey, these things are important to me, you have to also, while having your list, be willing to compromise on that list, or be willing to um, compromise for his list, right? If that makes sense. But most of the times, this is not happening. Now, you can make a debate about, hey, well, men do these and this thing, and and men are just like that too. And oftentimes, I hear those same arguments, right? But at the same time, where I think sometimes we lose sight of what's happening is that, again, where women, y'all have a little bit of more control than you may recognize, but yet you don't exercise it. And so when it comes to men, a lot of time the blame get cast on men when it comes to the decisions of which men you choose. So a lot of women would make statements or comments and post it or say, hey, well, men are like this, or men, they be lying, they be doing this, they, are cheaters, they are disloyal, X, Y, and Z. And there's a whole contingent of men saying, not all men, it's just that man you chose. And of course, a lot of women don't like to hear that, because then accountability comes on them to say, okay, well, is it that men, no matter where I look, I'm going to find a man like this? Or is it because no matter where I look, I only see men with these qualities that may be detrimental to me, right? And so that is the question that a lot of men are saying, well, which one is it, sis? Because you're saying that men are like this, and men are saying, hey, there are more men to the opposite of what you believe they are than there actually are. And that's where a whole argument takes place, where instead of saying, okay, well, I could see where some of that could be true, is like, for the most part, because that hasn't been my testimony, because that hasn't been my experience, I don't believe it to be true. And that taps into a whole fear, doubt, and disbelief of relationships. And so when it comes to the accountability, sometimes you got to realize that some of the things you believe about men, or even if, at a time, some of the things I believed about women was not because women were just like what I thought they were in terms of the negative stereotypes that I would place over them. It was more because of my experiences with the women I selected, because of what I was needing or what I thought I wanted at the time didn't work out for me, and it wasn't for me, but I didn't see it at the time. So I remember one time my wife asked me, my wife now, we were dating, and she was like, well, how do you think your past relationships went? And of course, I'm not with them now. I'm with at the time my girlfriend, and I'm saying I thought they went well. I think they went all right. So her response was, well, if they went well, then why aren't you still with them? Right now, I took accountability myself when asked that question of the things I might have been able to do better. But even in that, I said to myself, most people probably wouldn't do that. They will say, well, it was because this person, betrayed me or turned their back on me. This person did something that was backhanded. This other person I was with, they was just crazy. It just didn't work out. This other relationship, it was bad timing. But in every scenario, it's kind of, casting the accountability on something or someone else. And so this is where a lot of people go wrong when it comes to taking some of the bad habits from one relationship into a new relationship, because regardless of what that other person did, you still have a part of you that needs to work on, that you need to work on in order to be the best version of yourself for whomever you may meet. But if you don't ever say, okay, well, I can be better, I can do better, I can change and upgrade myself to a higher standard of living or higher standard of giving, then those things will never change for you. So now let's look at this, right? So when it comes to, like I say, this dating list scenario, what I've seen is that I would have thought as a man, and I don't know, fellas, y'all let me know, but I would have thought that during a pandemic where so many people whom didn't have a partner and desired somebody to be with, some sort of companionship, when a whole shutdown took place, would say, you know what, I'm going to just scratch my list. I'm going to scratch off all them things I thought was important to me. And now I'm just going to say, you know what, I'm going to just say, hey, if somebody truly is loving me and treating me right and supporting me, then that is enough for me to build with, and move forward with. But it seemed like in 2019 and in 2020, it was just the opposite. So yeah, I understand we had to social distance, we had to wear masks, we had to be, fearful of interacting with people in a certain quantity, or, at a certain distance and closeness. But at the same time, what I thought personally, this is, and me and Pastor Doge used to have these conversations and debates. I was like, well, shoot, you would think during this time people would be more willing to say, hey, you know what, I'm willing to drop all the extras and you know what, just look at a person's character, not look at what their status and what they have is and what they bring into the table and how much benefit they're bringing to my life and equating their value off of that. But in fact, everything went the opposite. So everybody was saying to themselves, well, I don't know, you know what? I ain't kissing, I ain't touching. Like, you know, if I'm a date, we're gonna have to date under these certain parameters. Certain people were saying, hey, listen, I'm out here, I'm outside. Other people was like, hey, listen, I'm being dead serious. I'm not trying to die from this. I'm gonna be cautious as I can. But now, as when things open back up, and you know, now that we at the place we are now, it's like people still are doubling down, especially women, especially in our community. It's like, nah, we doubling down on what we feel like we deserve. And you know, God bless you, more power to you. But let's think about this. When, like I said in last week's episode, I said, hey, listen, there's more men that are black men still saying that they want to marry and share their life with a black woman, if you know possible. Just basically saying the number one preference for them as a black man is a black woman. But on the opposite end, there are more black women saying that, hey, listen, black men aren't good enough right now. Y'all need to step up. Y'all need to get your weight up. Y'all need to start hustling more. Y'all need to get your money up. Y'all need to be more responsible, be more mature, all of these things, right? And so while that was happening, what ended up coming behind that was, again, more people being stubborn on their list, more people saying, hey, more women saying, hey, well, you know what, since I seem to can't find a man, well, I might as well, you know, keep looking for what fits my list. And now men have gotten in their feelings about it and saying, man, listen, we're not really trying to hear how bad we are and how, you know, we're, you know, so behind in so many areas that women feel like they need a man to be. Well, there's women outside our community that don't seem to share that same sentiment and look at us a little bit better than the women within our community. But what's happening is the women in our community are taking offense to men speaking up about the treatment they feel like they get from black women and why they would venture out to date somebody that's outside of the community. But here's the key: black men all while still saying, but my preference though, dog, Clarence, is a black woman. All I'm asking for is respect, peace, and understanding. And that's a solid foundation that we can build from. But while on the other hand, before my character gets evaluated, my wallet gets evaluated, my 401k, my credit score, my, all of these things get evaluated before we ever even get to who I am as a man, what makes me who I am, what I've gone through that made me who I am today. So this is why, again, the dating list, I'm trying to figure out, ladies, what is on your dating list in 2022? What would you say is the characteristics? And I would love to, please hit that comment section below. Don't be scared to drop a comment. Of course, a lot of times y'all listen, have feelings, but aren't willing to share it. I'm asking, share it tonight. What is on, ladies? What is on your dating list? What would be something that you can say that you consider maybe top 3 things that a guy has to bring to the table, a guy has to be character-wise, or, just in his background or what he's doing right now? What is on your list? Because what argument that we have on this show is that there's so many different things that women desire that you never know what it is that you have to bring for any individual woman. So much so that it makes it hard for men in general to say, okay, well, what areas do I really need to improve upon to better my chances with the women in my community, right? And so oftentimes we feel like as men, we have options and opportunities that present themselves. But the problem is, it seems like women are holding this expectation over our head to say, hey, bro, you good, you look good and this and that, and that's all gravy. But what about this cash app though? What about, zelling me before we meet up? What about my nails? What about my hair? Like I'm looking for, some sort of commitment, even like, and it's, man, listen, I could go on and on about Some women want instant commitment, wanting a man to show some level of commitment financially, even before he's committed. I've even gone so far to say that a lot of women are expecting men to commit before they get themselves in, before they know what they get themselves into. But on the opposite end, women want to know what they getting themselves into before they commit. So, of course, may not be your testimony, but when you hear stories and posts about, hey, women saying, hey, you know what? Can you send me a cash app? Can you send me some money? And it's like, hold on, like, what does that have to do with anything? Why is that necessary? Why is that an entry fee, a barrier to having some sort of a relationship or communication with you, just because you felt like, hey, well, based upon what you're doing for me and showing me in terms of, how much you can change my lifestyle or improve my lifestyle, that itself, it needs to be shown before I even, prove anything on my end, because hey, I'm the prize, I'm the one that need to be chased, right? And that's really, really setting us back. So here's the thing. I'm asking is, are women more or less demanding when it comes to a man meeting their dating list, or even this expanded dating list, right? Are women more likely, or excuse me, more demanding or less demanding nowadays? Ladies, gentlemen, comments are open. You have the floor. My opinion is that I see women being more demanding on their list overall. Of course, now that the CDC and the stipulations from the government and pandemic rules and mask requirements and vaccine hoarding, all this type of stuff has people still more hesitant and apprehensive to interact with somebody that they don't know, not knowing what their activities are or what they're doing when they're not around them, and things could be transmitted, so such and so forth. But when it just comes strictly to dating and what a person sees and believes when they meet someone, I believe that women are even more demanding on men meeting their dating list than before. So where you would think, okay, well, when there's a tragedy or there's something that is a threat to society, more people would come together and say, okay, well, strength in numbers, let's unite, let's connect. Well, the complete opposite is what happens, where everybody is saying, well, every man for themselves. And when things were open and free and everybody had the freedom to make their own life, make their own living, it was all good. And it was like, hey, listen, well, I'm doing my own thing. I'm up and coming, and I might not have it now, but hey, I'm in pursuit and I'm going to get there. And, I'm proud of my independence. Well, when the pandemic hit and everybody scattered and went into their own corners, went into their own places, then it became, well, I got to do for self. And it was even more of that mindset of, well, you know what, like, it might just have to be me and, me against the world, me alone. And I just have to find a way to be okay with that. And then now when it comes to interacting with other people, it's still this level of hesitance that says, well, I need to see, not believe, I need to see all the things that are going to be my reward for spending, or in this case, risking my time with you, right? And so again, all of these things are blocks and hindrance, but it's not as it doesn't hinder other races like it does ours, because the deep-seated, deep-rooted issues we have within our community, where you have men that will say, hey, until these things change, I prefer a Black woman, but man, it's so hard when I can't get one that seems to cooperate with me or has a level of understanding for what I'm dealing with. I would think that a woman in my community could understand that, but it seems like I'm still held to a higher standard. And you have women that are saying, well, if I can do for myself, what do I need you for? Right? If I can do for myself, yeah, I may not be thriving, I may just be surviving, but I got pride in the fact that I've been able to make it this long. And now when you come into my life, I'm assessing all things about you before I pull myself down trying to attach myself to you. Right. And so all of these things have a side that you can stand on and say, okay, well, that makes a little bit of sense. I can understand that. But at the end of the day, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? What are we going to do about it? That's the case, right? So, of course, it may be easy for me because I have a wife. Some people say, well, you already married, Clarence. You don't understand. But I think I do understand men, and I think I do understand the dynamics of relationships enough to be able to understand that there is a way to make things work. And most times you have to compromise what you feel like is your standard. Now, if all the things on your list are character based, then maybe you say, well, okay, well, I don't want to really shift these qualities because I don't want to remove anything and then end up with somebody who's less of a man or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, if it's not character based, then what is it that makes you feel like I'm fighting for this list? I'm not giving this up. Like it's not happening. If you ain't coming with this and this alone and all of these things fulfilled, then don't even talk to me. Don't even ask me for my number. Ask me for my gram or social media or any of that stuff. Because no, like I need this list fulfilled, and that's what I'm searching for. And that's why, for me as a relationship coach, I'm saying, well, ultimately, you're blocking yourself. You're blocking your blessing, right? Because if God were to send you something that was just everything that you wanted, but it didn't excuse me, he sends you everything that you needed, but it didn't look like what you wanted, then who's to blame? Would it be God or would it be you? Right? If he says, hey, you said, in your nights, when you was praying and talking to me, that you asked for a person that exude these qualities and characteristics. So I say, okay, great. I send them your way. And then all of a sudden you said, but God, I mean, yeah, but like, I thought you knew also that I wanted this, that, the third, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, A, B, and C. And it's like, well, I'm still this is what you're gonna need. It's gonna make you feel better. This is gonna make your life a lot better. It's gonna give you peace. It's gonna give you, balance in your life. But no. So your list, are you willing to die for your list? Are women willing to die for their dating list? Now, when we know that, we hear statistics saying 1 out of 4 women get married, blah, 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 things of that nature, then why is it that so many women who would get angry or irritated or agitated by a stat like that and come back with something like, well, men ain't, something to combat that, instead of saying, okay, well, what is it that I'm not bringing to the table that, because I believe I got everything it takes. So if that is the case, then you should be able to assess that there's something that's missing, where in your relationships, either you were selecting the wrong person because of your dating list, or because of your dating list, you were saying, okay, well, you know what? I've overlooked certain guys because I would see what I'm saying. So, are more women ride or die for their list? Are more more women ride or die for their list than they are the man that they're with? Right now, we've heard statements saying when it comes to statistics and divorce, women walk away from the majority of the relationships. Right? When we talk about relationships on this platform, when we talk about how when a man decides to marry a woman, he's marrying her based upon what he sees. And even in that moment, there are a lot of women that say yes to the proposal based upon the vision she sees, meaning that by attaching myself to this man, will I have more security? Will I have more provision over my life? Will I have more opportunities? Will I be in a better, more balanced state in my life? Will these things pan out? And if in her mind all of those answers ring yes, then she answers that proposal with yes. But the problem is that's under an assumption that this potential will be fulfilled. So the difference is, man saying, if you don't change, I'm marrying you based upon what I see. And if this never changes, I'm okay with this. And I love these qualities about you. So I'm going to snag you and make you an honest woman. And on the other end, that same honest woman says, oh, thank you so much. I feel so much gratitude. I feel so much love and appreciation. And thank you for this gesture, for deciding to make me your life partner and proposing to me. But I'm still in my mind am committing to what I expect to pan out in the future. So if this list don't pan out, then I'm going to end up telling you that this ain't what I got myself into. This ain't what I thought I got myself into, right? And so you see the difference in where a man is saying, I see what I'm getting myself into, and based upon my approval of what I see, I'm committing to that. And a woman is saying, I'm committing to what I believe will pan out, and my approval will come based upon that vision coming to fruition. And so this is why, again, you see so many people going separate ways. And I ask myself, are women more ride or die for their list than they are for their man? Because when it comes down to the end, whether it's a marriage or just a basic relationship, when most women will say, hey, well, I ended my last relationship, or there weren't many relationships that were ended on me, it was me ending it on such and such person. Well, yeah, in the moment, it might have felt like, well, you know what? I dodged the bullet. But then now when you go year and year after not having another relationship or something of substance, then you start looking back and saying, you know what, I could have, budged. I could have bent a little bit. I ain't have to break, but I could have bent a little bit on this particular thing. Like, you know what, maybe it wasn't so bad, right? So what's going on, Jeff? I see you, my brother. He said they ain't turning down them diamonds on site, thinking about the wedding and not the marriage. That is true. And if he's not, shame the devil, and let me see that comment, because to me, I think that rings true when it comes to what a lot of women are seeing as, okay, well, this is a chance of a lifetime. This is something that not too many women get, and I have the opportunity to experience. I'm not going to turn that down. But in the end, when it comes to a lot of women's heart of hearts, they know that, okay, well, there's a lot of things we need to work on. But like Jeff said, I'm not going to turn down this diamond. Like, what a crazy, you think I'm stupid? I feel you, bro. I feel you, man. So that is another thing where, again, a man believes that you are on the same page with him. He's saying, hey, well, listen, you know what, she's seeing the same thing in me that I see in her. We have this bond, we have this connection and unity, and because of that, I feel like it's a winning bet for me to go ahead and make her an honest woman and make her my life partner, all the while not recognizing that the woman is saying, yeah, that's all well and good, but we got married and that was good. That was a great feeling. That was a great experience to walk down the aisle. My family was there, this and that. But now that we are married, let's get back to the things that I was saying I needed you to do in order for this to work out. So remember what I was telling you before, we got married, how I wanted this and how I wanted to make sure that we got the house, and that if we were going to have kids, I wanted to make sure they have a 2-story house, not just a 1-story, because, when I, like, all of these stipulations after the fact where, man, I committed to whatever was there when I saw it. Now you saying, well, you know what? If I'm not able to do this, you unhappy with me. So are more women ride or die for their list than they are for their man? I mean, I think it's reasonable for men to question that when it seems like in the relationships and in marriages, more women walk away, more women file for divorce, more women put in those papers to say, hey, listen, this is irreconcilable differences. I just, you know what? Again, this is not what I thought I got myself into. What's going on, Wendell? Wendell, he said, acceptance is a superpower, but comparison is kryptonite. Come on now, you speaking facts, my brother. My facts. So here's the thing. Unless women are going to start proposing to men and getting down on one knee and giving diamonds to men, I think, ladies, y'all got to recognize that when it comes to the selection process, unfortunately, this is good news for some women and bad news for others, but men in the lion's share of the time are the ones dropping down to one knee and making a life commitment and a life proposal to a woman. So when it comes to a lot of women nowadays, it's like you walk around with the mindset of, well, once I find what I'm looking for, then I'll settle down. Then we'll be good. But the problem is, it's the man who finds a wife. It's the man who searches and is looking for qualities of a wife that he wants to make his life partner, that he says, okay, well, this person here is exactly what I'm looking for. So even if a woman is looking for a man and saying a man got to fit her quality and characteristics, the problem is that it's the man who's making a life commitment. It's the man who's saying, well, I'm going to make a proposal to you based upon what I see and feel and believe out of you. So ladies, I'm saying that because you have to recognize that you have to compromise your list. That's the bottom line point of this entire dialogue, is to say that you have to compromise your list in order to have better success at being chosen by the men that you want and being made a life partner. So where a woman would say, hey, well, these are the things, and here's the best thing that you should do. Make it known what things you've gone through and experienced, and make it clear as to why you don't want to experience those things again. So if whatever things you experienced that made you feel that it shifted your view on men, you have to make that known and not hold it against the new guy. But if the new guy continues to show those same qualities after you told him maybe once or twice or however many times that these are the things that you're not going to stand for based upon how it made you feel in those past experiences, then now it's not on you if things don't go right, because you made it clear in a way that should be receptive and accepted by that man to say, okay, well, I can understand that this and that happened to you, and that's what you don't want to deal with. So those are your fears and the reasons why you may be hesitant to deal with me in any fashion. Okay, cool. Now it's on him to do whatever he needs to do to either satisfy you or whatever the case, whatever he's going to do to show his true intentions and who he really is. But at the end of the day, ladies, you have to compromise your list, because at the end of the day, it's a man who's going to do the selecting, and it's a man who's going to do the choosing and deciding if marriage is in your future. So unfortunate to a lot of women, like I say, for some women it's good news, for some women it's bad news. But for marriage to be in your future, ladies, it's determined on a man seeing what qualities you say you have within inside of you. And you can't come out the gate saying, well, I got all of this, but you'll never see it until you show, what you're about. Let me come on, bring it. This is, like I said, this is how more women get hit and quit than anything. Because as a man, just because you saying, hey, you know what, I'm a good woman, I'm doing, you see this, you see these curves, you see this hips, you see this face, like, come on, like, you bring something. And he's saying, okay, well, great. What happens is, ladies, y'all don't understand that as men, we know how to use your list against you. You see what I'm saying? So if I can tell a woman is a woman of a certain background, or her needs and desires and everything that she's looking for is a certain thing, well, okay, well, just as much as women would say, don't tell a man what you really want, a lot of times we as men can see what you really want, and all we do is just feed into that until we get what we want. That's it. But the problem is, you think that we as men are dogs, or we just backhanded and we can't be trusted, when in fact all it was we seen what your true intent was. We seen what your mission was, and we gave you exactly what you wanted. But what happened was, it wasn't what you wanted in the end, but we got what we wanted in the end. Now I'm cool on you. You see what I'm saying? And so if you don't compromise your list, you'll just repeat that cycle and continue to believe that it's the men that ain't no good, when really it's like, nah, your list is messed up. And you was showing your hand. Now I see what's on your list. I said, okay, well, I give you these 2-3 things in order to get what I want. And then now I'm done with you. And you felt like, well, hold on, I done gave you all of this, and this is how you do it. Well, yeah, because you only gave me what you gave me because you felt like these certain qualities of these things I was providing were important, and more important than who I was. So I just gave you that so that I can get what I wanted, because you didn't care about who I was. You just wanted what I had to offer. So I took what you had to offer. And this is not, whether it's not based upon it being right or wrong. This is based upon it being real. So if ladies, if you've ever experienced that, then understand that this is what's happening. A lot of men are using your list against you. So yeah, the thing is, sometimes women have this belief that men, like, we can't pick up on what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you value. Sometimes we can see that within the first date. Sometimes the first few minutes we talking to you, we can tell what type of chick you are. And it may be all well and good until we get what we want, and then it's like, man, I'm not dealing with that. Like, please, like, all she care about is money. All she wanted is somebody that's going to be paying her bills and doing this and catering to her and pedestalizing her. Okay, great, but to what benefit does that bring my life as a man, right? Because again, I'm married, and yeah, I cater to my wife. Yeah, I do things to put my wife on a certain pedestal to let her know that she's important and valuable to me and that she's a priority. But yet I had to see some reciprocity before I ever opened myself up enough to even give her that place in my life where it's like, okay, well, look, that's my lady. Like, she one of the few people that I don't say no to, right? When it comes to certain things, but she earned that position because of what she was doing for me and the benefit she brought to my life. So don't get mad when a man uses your list against you, because what you like and what he wants are two different things. So he may show you what you like, but he's doing that because he's trying to get what he wants. And I've been there. So I've been that guy that said, oh, okay, I see how you move. Now, I'm not a fan of that, but I see that there's a level of attraction that I, have for you, and see, I can feel that you have for me. So I'm gonna oblige that. I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind, like, oh, okay, this is how you move. This is how you really are. This is what's really important to you. Okay, cool. That doesn't mean that I'm finna just right now tell you, you know what, you're a bad person. You know what, that's not right. The way that you like, I'm not finna do all of that. But what I am gonna do is just, keep it cordial. And this is where things happen. So what's more important is it more important to find somebody that fulfill your list, or is it more important to find a life partner that you can grow, you can develop, you can build, you can glue with, right? Because yeah, it's easy for me to say this as a man, because of course, as a man, I knew that, hey, you know what, there's a great benefit to having somebody on your side that supports you, that back you, that can lift you up when you feeling down, or you out there, you put a lot of work in, now you're feeling weak, somebody that can come and heal you and restore you. There's value in that. But ladies, I'm only asking respectfully, right? What's more important, is it finding somebody that fulfills this list? Because when it comes to dating, listen, I'm gonna say this, and I can say this without a shadow of a doubt. It's harder to please a woman than it is a man. Okay. It's harder to please a woman than it is a man, right? I could bring you flowers on Monday and you love them, and I can bring you flowers on the next Monday and you feel like, oh my God, it's redundant. All you're gonna do is bring flowers, right? See, so I still have to be on my feet. Like everyone, it's more difficult to please a woman than it is a man. And so when it comes to what you feel you require, understand that your list is longer than his most of the times. And if that be the case, then is it really not working because of the things he wants, or is it because of the things you want? Is it really because he's so hard to please and men just got all they want is this? Well, okay, well, whatever all they want is, it ain't but a few things. While what ladies, on the other hand, y'all have a laundry list of things that you would say that are the things that you require. And yeah, I can hear someone is saying, nah, it ain't that bad. Like my list ain't that long, until a man starts dealing with you. That's when those other fine print numbers start to come out. It's like, well, yeah, this isn't, that is what it's not it's not worth breaking up, but it is gonna make me mad, and it's gonna keep me on your back every time I see this, or every time I feel like this thing. See, and it makes it unpleasant for him to be around you, and it's not peaceful. So many things go on, all because your list is actually longer than his, and he's saying, listen, I ain't even tripping off some of the stuff that I'm seeing, but yet because my list is only this and it's more character based, then now it's okay. Well, shoot, I'm looking at you for who you are, and you looking at me for what utility I have in your life, as opposed to who I am and how that benefits you as a collective. Nah, you looking at me like, well, if you ain't got it, bro, sorry to say, but I can't do nothing with you. And so I only wanted to come to this even and ask, how long will women fight for their dating list? Okay. How long you fight for your dating list, and what's more important to you? Is it finding somebody to fulfill your list, or is it finding a life partner to build and grow with? I'm only asking, only because, again, as a man, I see so many Black men that are single. I see so many Black women that are single, and I'm saying, okay, well, what can bring us together? We know we got to have these conversations. We got to have these sit downs. We got to have these talks. And somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to moderate it. Somebody got to be the referee in the middle that says, all right, go ahead and hold up, break. We're going to go to our corners and come back in a few minutes when tempers cool down, or whatever the case is. But yet, regardless of whatever it is, we have to have these conversations and come together and stop going to our corners and hiding and saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm not finna explain myself. I don't want to tell, like, hey, ain't nobody gonna judge me. Only God can, all of this stuff. only to end up not with the results we want, only to end up not with the outcomes that we feel we deserve. And so if you want to get the outcomes you deserve, then recognize what's most important to you. Is it more about this list, or is it more about what you feel is your standard and requirements for a relationship? Or is it more about saying, you know what, just having somebody that I can feel like I'm supported and truly backed by is most important to me. We'll figure the rest out later. All right. So think about that. You already know it's Clarence Brown. It's the Male Translations Podcast. We break down the difference of what men say and women hear. And I want to hear your comments, man. Please leave those comments in the comment section. We can chop it up and kind of go over some of the things that you feeling or experiencing. And again, till next time, let me know if y'all want to hear some different topics, or y'all have some things on your mind that you're going through and that you want to hear discussed. And you already know, man, I'm gonna keep it going, keep it thriving, keep it growing. And we'll see y'all on the other side, man. Next Tuesday night, we'll be right back at y'all. The Male Translations Podcast. Stay up, stay blessed, stay healthy, stay safe out there, and I'll see y'all again. All right. Deuces.